All right, looks like everyone's coming in and one more person's connecting to audio, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our CLE presentation, The Nuts and Bolts of Running a Successful Solo Practice. I'm Shanti Bala, your LCBA Pro Bono Committee Chair. I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker today, Indira Demine of Demine Immigration Law Firm. Indira is an immigration attorney and entrepreneur and has a wealth of information to share with us today. We will be offering CLE certification information. At the end of this presentation, Lauren will send out that information to attendees. Please make sure that you send us your email address. If you're attending today by phone, you can drop your email address in the chat box and we'll be sure to send you that CLE certificate. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address as well, I will display in the chat box. And feel free to ask any questions you have of Indira in the chat box, and she'll try and address those at the end of her presentation. Today's presentation will be recorded, and Lauren will send all attendees a YouTube link afterwards, so you can review it again if you wish. And this will also be our last CLE presentation for 2020, but we will resume our programming starting in January of 2021. So now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Indira.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Shanti. You're so sweet. I'm Indira Demine. I've been a solo practitioner now for 4 years. Before that, I worked at a small firm doing immigration law. And what I'm hoping today's presentation will do is just show you some of the mistakes that I've made along the way, and just kind of things that I've learned and picked up being a solo practitioner for the last 4 years. It's been an interesting and a wonderful journey. When I started out as a solo practitioner, I had 0 clients. A lot of people start with a book of business. I did not. And in fact, it sort of got sprung on me. I was planning on leaving my last job in December of 2016. That didn't happen. I ended up leaving in September. So I was thinking I still had a job, and then the next day I didn't. So everything sort of happened very quickly and progressed extremely quickly. And this is just kind of like my journey of how we got to where we are. So just to give you an idea of how we've grown, how much we've grown, we just celebrated our 400th client of 2020. So in the last 4 years, we've assisted and helped over 1,000 clients on a daily basis. I do consultations every half an hour. Anywhere between 5 to 10 consultations a day. And yeah, so we've definitely, last year, we closed out the year at around 300 clients, and this year we're already at 400. So we've grown very quickly, and we've done it sort of in a non-traditional way. And that's what I hope to share with you. So I have a little PowerPoint that I will pull up. Okay. If I can, here, getting started. So actually, before we get started, we are a pretty small group here today. I think we can go around the room and sort of get an idea of where everyone is in their practice. So I don't know if you guys were up for speaking, but it'll be a small speaking today. So why don't we start? The first person that shows up on my screen is Keith. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how long you've been in practice and whether or not you're a solo practitioner?
All right. I am going into my 30th year of being a lawyer. Most of that time, I've been a either small practitioner with a few other attorneys or solo practitioner. I'm currently solo right now and have been for, gosh, I think 12 years or so since I split off from my former partners.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Christy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have been practicing law for almost 7 years, and I went solo back in February, right before the pandemic. I'm so happy I didn't know a pandemic was coming because I would have been too afraid. But now I am, I did start with the book of business, and I picked Indira's brain along with a lot of other lawyers in the community, and I'm having a great time. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Kelly, hi. A little bit, yes, there's a little bit of an echo.
How about now? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I
Yes.
have been an attorney for over 23 years, and I've had my own practice. It is just about to be 15 years. And I do just want to say that we can always learn something new every single day. And I'm so excited to hear you speak about your firm. And I know I'm going to learn something. And thank you in advance for that.
Appreciate it, Kelly. All right, and I see, and I'm not sure the first name, M. Kamadeko. You're up.
Michael Kamadeko.
Oh, Michael, okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip Michael for now. I don't know if he can hear us. Robert?
I'm sorry. I'm Robert Stommel. I've been retired for 2 years. I'm 72 years old, but I'm just interested in this topic, so I thought I'd sit in. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So the first part is pretty straightforward. I just wanted to share a little story about when I got started, some lessons that I learned along the way. I registered the wrong business. So I registered an C Corp instead of an S Corp. And that first few years, I started out in September of 2016. So by December of 2016, when it was time to file taxes for the end of the year, I realized very quickly that that was the wrong type of business to register. So just getting your business registered in the right, correct entity is important, obviously, and everyone here on today's Zoom meeting knows that already. Trust and operations. So when I set up my law firm, I decided to set up a trust account, and that's something that's a personal preference. When it comes to each law firm, with immigration law, we do collect a lot of filing fees and so on. And I am extremely careful with my trust accounting. We keep an Excel spreadsheet of everything that comes in. We keep multiple receipts in the file on their client database and so on. Just because if you're like me, whenever you get your Florida Bar news, you probably see the disciplinary section and folks getting into trouble because of not keeping proper trust accounting. So that's something that I highly recommend looking into, obviously, before you get into solo practice. Now, when I started out, I had zero money, $0. So getting set up and having a client database and so on wasn't something that I was thinking about doing. But I knew I needed to keep track of who my clients were, who I was signing up and so on. So I did an Excel spreadsheet and I listed my clients and what they hired for, their address and phone number and so on. If you are not in a position where you can purchase a client database, I definitely recommend doing something like an Excel spreadsheet, some way of tracking who your clients are and keeping notes on their case. Now, I will talk to you about the client database that I now use. So it got to a point where it was overwhelming for me to keep getting onto my Excel and adding clients. So I looked into and researched different client database systems, and I ended up settling on Clio. Now, have you guys used Clio or not so much? Do you all have different databases?
I use
Feel
Clio.
free to Yeah, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Clio is very user-friendly. And one of the things that I liked about them was that they were able to import all of my Excel into their Clio system. So I didn't have to input them one by one. I also use Clio for billing because you can generate statements and so on from Clio. And one of the, I use my merchant services that I use is Lbaugh, and Lbaugh connects to your Clio. So you can send a link from your Clio to your clients for payments. So everything is super easy and connected, and it makes your job a lot easier so you can focus on other things. Now, again, in the beginning, when I started out, I was not in a position to hire a company to do payroll. There is a calculator online where you can actually calculate your federal withholding and do it yourself. You do not, as a solo, if you're starting out and it's just you, a one-man show, you don't need to hire a payroll company to run your payroll. You could do it yourself. And for the first, maybe the first year, I did my payroll myself. Now, malpractice insurance is something that I have, and part of the reason why I thought it was important to have it in the beginning was the peace of mind aspect that comes with it. So many times while being a solo, I've wanted to go to the boss or have someone else take on an issue, but we don't have that. It's us, the buck stops here, right? So having that malpractice insurance definitely gives me peace of mind, and it has helped me tremendously in just knowing that I'm protected if something were to go wrong. Website building for me, I keep going back to in the beginning, 4 years ago, once my company was set up on Sunbiz, I thought, okay, now I need a website. I did not have a budget to build a website. So I used, and I don't know how many of you guys have built websites before, but I actually built my own websites using Wix.com. That's Wix.com. And they have a lot of templates on there. So if you're solo and you just want to have an online presence, you can customize your website. You can build an entire website, and I believe you pay a monthly fee that's very minimal. So it really cuts down on cost, and you start building that online presence. It's extremely important to have a website. Now, logo design for me, when I was thinking of a logo, I didn't have the funds to go out to a company and say, hey, design a logo for me. So I used an app called Fiverr, and I believe it's Fiverr. And basically, you can go on there and seek quotes for different sort of graphic design projects that you may have. So I remember going on there and saying, I would like a logo that says happy, inviting, bright colors. And so I kind of gave them an idea of what I wanted, and I got this logo for maybe 10 bucks, right? And I've been using this logo since then, and it cost me about $10. So I think there are a lot of ways of getting these little pieces done in the beginning that will not cost a lot of money, especially when you're just getting your feet out the door, you're just getting started. You want to keep your overhead as low as possible. However, it's also very important to start building a brand. So even though having a logo may not be the first thing you think about when you go out on your own, it's so important to have that out there in the community, on your online in your online presence, because you start building a brand from the beginning. Now, when I went out on my own, one of the first conversations I had with myself is, who am I trying to attract? Who will be my ideal client? And how do I get there? Again, not having a lot of funds to do paid ads and so on. But at the same time, we need to advertise. How do you advertise, and what is your marketing strategy? So being an immigration attorney, I am not limited to just practicing law in Florida. I can practice law throughout the United States. And understanding that, I decided that I needed to meet immigrants from all over the country. And how do I do that? I'm Guyanese. I'm a Guyanese immigrant that immigrated to New York City. I use my background as a, from New York in the Guyanese community. And one of the first things that I did was set up a Facebook page for my company, Divine Immigration Law Firm. And I started doing these little videos on my Facebook page, and I'll show you the return on these videos. First, it's free. I didn't pay a dime to do these little videos. I did it myself. Television ads are extremely expensive if you're a solo practitioner. And I, for a few months, I usually give things about 4 to 6 months to see what the return on investment will be. And I remember doing a television ad on one of the local stations, and it was zero. And it's extremely expensive. So it didn't work for the market that I was trying to appeal to. So I stopped doing that. Now, when it came to print ad, I had a small budget, and I thought, where am I going to put this tiny budget, marketing budget towards? One of the things that I realized in my prior employment was that I was getting a lot of my clients would come in with letters of recommendation from a particular church called Jesus the Worker Church. So all of my immigrant clients were bringing in these letters of recommendation for whatever case they had. So when I went out on my own, I thought, I need to contact that church. So I did. I called them and I said, I'm an immigration attorney and I would like to present just an immigration presentation to your church. Is that something you'd be open to? They said no. And again, you have to be comfortable with putting yourself out there and getting the no's. And I was so comfortable with getting the no's because, again, what is there to lose? They said no, but we do have an opportunity for you to advertise in, I can't remember if it's a weekly bulletin or a monthly bulletin, something like that. And it was a little ad and it was super cheap. I can't remember how much it was, but I said, okay, I'll do that. And so my first ad was in at that church, and I got one client from that ad. I ran it for a few months, and then I switched marketing strategies, but I got a client from that ad. So you never know what opportunities are out there, and going about this in an unconventional way. Part of it was I was forced to, because I didn't have the funds to do it, do big TV ads and so on. But you can get clients from all over. So that worked really well for me. Another thing that I did was I set up a Google business page to my immigration law firm. Once it was set up, I realized I needed to get reviews and so on there. One of the things that I realized is the way people shop has changed. And the way I shop has changed over the years. The way I shop now is everything is on my phone, and realizing that, you understand that the way people find their attorneys is on the phone too. So Google and Google reviews and having an online presence is extremely important, because that is the way consumers are shopping these days. So that is the way you'll start building that online presence and having clients come to you. Our biggest return on investment has been Google ads. And so there's two things to understand with Google ads. There's the paid ads and there's the organic search, where you would come up organically on Google. Now, how do you come up organically on Google? Because everybody knows what the paid ad is. You look up immigration attorney Fort Myers, and you'll see the ads come up on top, and it'll say ad, and then an organic search of immigration attorney will then follow. A couple of things. When you go out on your own, you're going to get all sorts of companies come out of the woodwork that want you to pay them to run your Google ads. Don't do it. You can do it on your own. Just go on and it will take a little bit of understanding and researching and getting on and playing around with your Google business page, but it's extremely easy for you to run your own Google ad, and you set your own budget. So I'll give you an example. When I started out, my budget was $250 a month. That's all I want to spend. And what that means is people, every time someone clicks on your ad, you pay. So once you get to that budget of $250, that's the end of your ad for that month. And you can increase your budget, and you can actually log in and look at the analytics to see when do people click on my ad the most. And you can run multiple ads to then see what ad is successful, which one is not successful, to give you an idea of what course you should continue doing. Now, to get on a Google page organically, and this is all things that I sort of learned along the way. So I hope I don't misspeak on some of this stuff, but one of the things that I've been told is that the more activity there is on your Google business page and on your website, the more activity you have, the more organically you'll start appearing on the top of the search. So obviously Google reviews are important. And we now at our law firm have set up a system where Google reviews have become a part of our practice. So when we close out a file, I send a closeout letter that says you hired on so-and-so date, you hired for this, we've closed out your file, and at the end I add, we thank you for your service. If you're happy with our service, we encourage you to leave us a Google review. That has now become a practice with every case that I close out. So it's not extra work. It's now just something that we do. My assistants know that. So whenever we close a file, we send a closeout letter, that one line in there about the Google review. And then I may follow up with my clients with sending out an email that has a link to our Google page that says, congratulations, we're so happy you chose our firm, whatever I may want to say. And if you're happy with our service, I encourage you to leave us a Google review. As a small business owner, it's important for us to have these reviews or whatever it is you want to say. And I send it out. And so Google reviews are obviously important, but another thing is you can post on your Google business page. So one of the things that I do is, if we have something happening, we get an award for something, we whatever it is, write an article, we're in a newspaper, whatever, I will go on. So there's an app called Google Business, and I have the app on my phone, My Business. I will go there and you can add a post, and it's extremely easy to do. But again, it helps you with the organic search because it's not something you're paying for. You go on there and post an update. So when COVID-19, we were working from home, we posted an update on our Google Business page. I will go on my Google Business page and post, here we are in the news press or whatever. Whatever update we'll have will go on your update. So some of these things have over 1,000 people have seen your update that you posted on your Google Business page. So I highly recommend doing that. It takes a few minutes, and you are, again, building on your online presence and helping clients to find you. And so that is what I'm talking about when I say tapping into non-traditional markets. Social media today is extremely important. And I believe that every small business that wants to become successful and grow, you need to have a social media page, whether that be Facebook, a Facebook business page. We also now have Instagram, and people have branched out in Twitter and TikTok and stuff. It's a lot to learn. If it's overwhelming, you want to focus on one, whether that be Facebook or Instagram. Focus on one thing and sort of learn how to do it. You can run Facebook ads that are extremely cheap. You can set a budget that's $2 a day for an ad to run for 7 days a week, for seven days, and that's it. So I really like that you get to customize your marketing plan to fit your budget. So if you don't have a large budget, you don't have to worry. There's a plan that can fit your budget. This is an example of one. So this is the first video. If you see, it was posted on September 21, 2016. I went out on my own on September 16, 2016. So just 10 days later, I posted this video on our Facebook page. If you look on the bottom right of the video has had 9,500 views. Why? And it's been shared 143 times. A few videos so successful. One, I introduced myself. When I went out on my own, nobody knew who I was. I worked for a law firm, and I realized that you can't, if you're going to run a business, you have to be the face of the business. So first, I needed to introduce myself to not only my local community, but also, because I did immigration law, to anyone looking for an immigration attorney. So you introducing yourself, who you are, and giving a little bit about your background is so important. People need to feel like they can relate to you. And one of the things, and it sounds crazy, but one of the reasons why a lot of I get hired on by clients is because they like you as a person. You are selling you before you sell whatever area of law you're doing. And it's really important to be personable, to share a little bit about yourself. And I know in a world that is you want to protect your privacy, completely understand that, but showing a little bit about who you are and how you ended up practicing law, I think is so important. It sort of breaks that barrier from lawyer to client and make you more approachable and likable, and I think that that'll help when clients are looking for attorneys. Create recurring content. So one of the things I thought about was this video that I posted was, again, free little video. I held my phone up and I did the video, and I said, ask Indira is a hashtag that I came up with. Ask Indira an immigration question. You can come up with whatever it is that your series is, right? But you want to create some sort of recurring content that, okay, every Tuesday I will present on so-and-so topic. But I also invited people to ask me questions. So I would say, leave us a message in our Facebook Messenger. Let us know what you're wanting to hear more about. So you're inviting people to into your social media business page. And then I also encourage people to share. If you have a family member that may have a question, an immigration related question, share this video with them. Let them ask me their question. So that is how we ended up getting so many views on the first video, because again, people shared it. Again, and I tapped into the Guyanese community, because one of the first things I said was, I'm Guyanese American. I came to America in 2002 from Guyana, and I shared a little bit about where I'm from, and people could relate to that. So finding your ideal client and then figuring out how to tap into that client, I think, is important, and these little videos do that. Now, you want to show your knowledge. This is an opportunity for you to be, impressive with your content, and people's attention spans are very short, so you want to make these quick, informational, informative, and that's it. So, but you want to show your knowledge, show that you know what you're talking about, and then with doing this, you're creating online presence, and a video can be posted on multiple platforms. So you can post a little video on your Facebook page. That video can be posted on your Instagram page. That video can be posted on your website. And I will admit that in the beginning, I posted a lot more on our website because, I had the time. And so I would go on there and edit and add these little videos to our website myself. And again, you're creating online content and an online presence. Building a brand and name recognition, I think, is also extremely important. One of the, when I went out on my own 4 years ago, Lbaugh was very big during that time, where everybody sort of went on Lbaugh to find their lawyer, and I wanted to get my Lbaugh rating up. So I remember that I had some Lbaugh reviews that were excellent, but my rating remained at a, 8 or something. And I reached out to Lbaugh and I said, hey, I need to get to a 10. How do I get to a 10? And they said, it's not just about reviews. You need to have a speaking engagement and a published article. and maybe other things, but those were the two that I remember. And I was like, okay, I'm on it. So I spent, again, in the beginning, you have time. So I spent time writing this article that I thought was so beautiful for the Florida Bar journal. And I sent it to them and I was so excited. And they said, I'm sorry, but we're not going to publish your article. So again, you have to be comfortable with no. And that's okay. You just go to another avenue, right? But I was determined to get my rating up to a 10. So if you see here, the middle article is in the Lee County Bar magazine. So I also, it might have been, Kelly, you may have been the president at that time, but I reached out to someone at the Lee County Bar and I said, hey, I want to publish an article about immigration. And again, getting comfortable with a no is something that I at that point, I was very comfortable with them saying no. But they said, okay, sure. And that was an opportunity for me to, again, show my knowledge to the legal community and start building a name for myself. So this article here in the Lee County Bar magazine, Overhauling Our Immigration System, that came out. I went out on my own September 2016. That article is in the November 2016 magazine. So just a few months later, I got it in there. And I went back on my Lbaugh and I said, published article, done. And I also did a ton of speaking engagements. There was a period of grinding that goes into being a solo practitioner. And every weekend I did a speaking engagement. Now, how did I get these speaking engagements? Sort of came about in different ways. One, I called around churches that I mentioned earlier, and I said, hey, anybody interested in learning my immigration law? I know immigration law. If you would like a free immigration consultation session, learning session, I'm your person. Just give me a call, let me know. And I've gotten a few responses, and I spoke at churches. And then the Haitian American Democratic community, the Sanibel Island community. I went out, the paralegal association, the construction industry, so many, identifying the industries that can benefit from your knowledge is so important. And then send an email or give them a call and say, this is what I do. Is this something you'd be interested in learning about? And if so, here's my information. I did a ton of those in the beginning. And in fact, I remember at the time the Lee County Legal Aid Society was doing a Know Your Rights presentation where they were going around to different churches and doing presentation about immigration. And I volunteered with them, and I happened to be the only immigration attorney that volunteered. And every weekend for, I want to say it's 6 different weekends, we went out to different churches around the community and did these Know Your Rights presentation. And and when I went into it, it was a volunteer thing that I was doing, just volunteering my time. It ended up being an avenue for me to get clients. I've had people call me from meeting me at the churches, referring people to me, and so on. So you never know where opportunities lie. You got to put yourself out there, which is extremely scary sometimes, but also a lot of times it works out in your favor. Another thing is using local media. I was sitting downtown again, that first year at Starbucks downtown, and a reporter came up to me and said, can you comment on legalizing marijuana? And I said, no, I don't think I want to comment on that, but I'm an immigration attorney. Here's my card. If you ever have an immigration related issue or something like that, reach out to me. I can help you. I can talk to you about it. And he also gave me his card. And then I didn't hear anything from him. But I said, why not? Why don't I email him? So I sent an email that said, hello, my name is Indira. We met at Starbucks. I just wanted you to know that I'm a resource that you have in case you ever need, have an immigration question. That person is now my friend Dave Elias from NBC2 News. I've been interviewed maybe 15 to 20 times by Dave, and that has opened up the door for me to be interviewed by Fox News, multiple television stations, and it's all free. It's not, I'm not paying him. It's, you know, so, and you're getting your name, your face, and your brand out there. So you never know where these opportunities lie. On the left is a news press article that I presented at Progressive Women ago. And again, opportunities come up, and having a yes attitude is extremely important when you're trying to speaking engagements. Once you start, you know, making yourself available for these speaking engagements, opportunities will come up. On the local conference, yeah. They did their annual conference out in, I want to say, Sanibel, and they were looking for one of their breakout session. They were looking for someone to speak about immigration. I can't remember how I got connected to them, but I did, and I spoke, and it was a small group that I spoke to, but at the end of the session, they do like a rate your speaker thing, where they said, and again, I did this for free. So I drove out to Sanibel, did this whole thing for no money in return. But at the end of the session, all of the participants rated that session, and I got really good reviews. So they invited me to different conferences that they had for every year. I've spoken at the conference until I got pregnant, and then I said I couldn't anymore. And they start paying me to speak, you know, so something that started out as just getting my name out there, putting in the work and grinding, turned into an opportunity for, again, to earn a revenue from speaking. On the right, the Southwestern Vocational Training School, I was one of their speakers at their commencement ceremony. And one of the things that to separate yourself from everyone else, you kind of have to share your story, who you are, your background. And I've made it a point to do that from the beginning when I went out on my own. And for a minority woman, I will say that when I first came here in Southwest Florida and I started practicing 8 years ago, I started doing criminal law. And when I walked into the courtroom, you know, no one looked like me. And that was the first thing I noticed. And for a new young attorney, that was, I definitely felt like an outsider. As the years went by, I realized that is your edge, your advantage. No one wants another, you know, version of themselves. They want you, authentically you, the way you are. So being able to share who you are, I think is so extremely important, because everyone else is taken. And I think that's what has opened up the doors for speaking engagements and so on, because one of the first blogs posts that I did on my website was talking about my background and who I am and where I came from and so on. So I think it's extremely important to do that when you're breaking out on your own. And that has opened up the doors to many awards will then start pouring in or coming your way. And I think it comes out of, again, Young Professional of the Year. And then I want to say in 2018, 40 Under 40 by Gulf Shore Business, but it was Gulf Shore Business making the 40 Under 40 was a goal that I had, a long-term goal. When I went out on my own in 2016, I told myself, I want to make that magazine one day. And I think it's very important for us to verbalize our goals, whatever it is. Say it out loud or write it down or have it in the back of our heads, because I think that you have to have those goals in order to even get there, right? So you have to be able to visualize it before you're able to get there to the next step. Also nominated for the Apex Awards and so on. There are so many, and this will take a little bit of time to put yourself out there and network. And one of the things that I did in the beginning is, again, when I wanted to say, this is who I am, just in case you guys need to know who I am, whenever I would go to a CLE, I would make it a point to have a question, write down a question about whatever topic and say my name, right? So one of the first, I went to a CLE about, I think the women law section put on a CLE at the courthouse, and again, very impressive speakers, and I made it a point, I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to say who I am. So I stood up and said, I'm Indira Devine, I'm an immigration attorney, and here's my question. And at the end of the session, one of the speakers actually came up to me and said, hey, I am the executive director of the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, and we're starting up this immigration learning community. Would you be interested in joining? Yes, of course. And had I not asked that question, I would have missed that opportunity. And in fact, I was nominated for 40 Under 40 by one of those members of that group that we started. So constantly putting yourself out there and making sure that you mention who you are and what you do, I think is so important. And so that is what I have today as far as question presentation goes. I will say that some lessons that I've learned along the way in being a solo practitioner, I think, and I know I said this in the past, or I said this already, but I think it's important, highly important, that you start documenting things that your law firm is doing. I noticed that my clients like to know what it is that you do on a daily basis. They want to see what your firm is up to. If you have staff, they want to get to know your staff. They want, when they come in, they want to feel like, you know, I'm hiring a person that I know. So you can use, and that's why social media is such a good tool, because you can use it for that purpose. You can post on stories. So today at our law firm, we're working on so-and-so case. You can post inspirational things like, you know, it's Friday, making sure that everybody, you know, post a success story that you have. If you went to court and you've had a successful outcome, you want to share with your clients, that's a good opportunity to do that. Just to give you an example of a campaign that we've done, and again, this is all in-house. So I'm sure everybody has been affected by the pandemic, and we clearly are creative in new clients, and how do we go about doing that? So March, our law firm shut down for 2 months. So we were gone in April and May, and we came back in June. April and May were extremely slow months, and we came back in June. And as a team, we sat down together and said, we need to come up with some sort of marketing strategy to continue to grow our clientele. What do we do? So we did a few things. First, we realized we kind of needed to get in the community, and how do we do so? People's attention span, again, is very short. So we came up with these, and one of my assistants came up with it, and we designed it ourselves. There's a lot of online tools you can use to design things. We came up with something called an infographic. It's a very short little thing like that, and it says Devine Immigration Law Firm. It has our photo on there, where we're located. This is the type of law that we do. Here's our phone numbers. And during until the end of the year, we are doing free over the phone consultations or reduced cost in-person consultation. As a and this was our response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is what we're doing to support the local community. We also did, while we were away, our law firm did weekly giveaways where we bought lunches for frontline workers, and that helped. helped in a few ways. One, it gave us that feel-good feeling that, we were helping our local communities. We're supporting frontline workers, absolutely. But we're also building a brand and a name. People shared our posts, people liked our posts, and our online presence kept going up every single time we did one of these events. So getting back to our infographics, so we designed and then printed these infographics in English, in Spanish, and in Creole. And then our staff, or me, we went out in the community and we went to businesses and said, hey, can we leave our infographics here? It was, printing the infographics was a couple $100, and then we bought the little stand, and we went out ourselves and put it in different restaurants and supermarkets and local businesses that where potential clients could be. And I will tell you that we've gotten so many, and even if I sign up one client from the infographics did its job, right? But the result was that we've gotten calls from them, and we've just, again, spreading our name and our brand out there. But we saw instantly, as when I came back the first week, all of my consultations were canceled. People were canceling their consultations, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is not going well. And then when the infographics went out, and another thing that we did was we started doing a lot more online activity on our Facebook or on our Instagram. We started posting more on our Google pages. We started, because again, when you have the time to put into these things. So we thought about, what is something that we could do that people will like to hear about? So we came up with like a mail check, where we would check the mail, and we're not giving out any confidential information, but one of the things that my legal assistant will get on and do a quick 10-second video that says, today in the mail, we got 1 green card, residency card, 2 work permits, and 2 approvals for whatever, an I-130 petition. And people like those little videos because, again, it makes you feel good. You like hearing positive stories, but it's another way of, again, getting your name out there and having people share your content and so on. I really do believe that social media and your Google reviews, they're all sort of connected with each other. The more you post, the more you put yourself out there, the more you write blog posts on whatever topic it is, the more you start attracting clients online. And like I said, the way people shop these days has changed. People shop online, so that is where your clients are. So I focus heavily at my firm on bringing in clients online, because it's been working for us. And like right now, we just closed on 400 clients, and we wanted to do a celebration. Okay, we ended this year with over 400 clients. We want to say thank you to our clients that have referred people and so on. And how do we celebrate? So again, I spoke to my staff, and if you're like me and you're not sure how to use all the social media things, I refer a lot to my staff, and I say this is an idea I have in mind, and they sort of run with it and come up with creative ways of doing things. And if you do not have a staff, that's okay. You can have an intern. I had a high school intern for a long time that would do the little videos and post it on YouTube or wherever. So you can have a high school intern, and your high school credits that they may need, and you're also having someone that's who knows how to use celebrating our 400 clients. And I told my staff, I want to do something to celebrate. This is a big milestone for us because it's our 4th year, 400 clients. And we bought a balloon, 400, and we're going to, we did a giveaway where we're giving out 10 baskets to our clients, our people that share our posts, and my staff came up with the giveaway. But we basically made up these little baskets, and you can put in a lot of your swag in there, you know, your Divine Immigration, your stuff in there. But again, it's kind of I'm always, when I meet with clients in person over the phone, I always convey that message that I am thankful for you, even though you're happy to have an attorney. I am thankful and grateful that you're here and you've chosen our firm, and that has really been, and I've instilled that in our staff, in the way we speak to clients, the way we answer the phone, the way we close out a file, everything from the moment someone hires to the time we close out the file, we try to convey that we are thankful for you. And I think that showing appreciation to your clients definitely goes the extra mile, and that helps you when they're thinking of, who do I refer this a friend to, they think of you. So that's all that I have today. I am going to open it up for questions. Any questions from anyone?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say this is so helpful, and I always learn stuff from you. Like, you are definitely an inspiration. So just thanks so much for doing this and sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you, Christy. And I just want to say that I think it's also important to have mentors and friends and people that you can talk to. Like Christy and I talk sometimes about things that she's doing and things that I'm doing, and seeing each other as we can mutually benefit from each other, I think is so important. So reaching out to colleagues. In the beginning, I reached out to people and I said, hey, do you want to have lunch? Do you want to have lunch? What's the worst that can happen? No. So putting yourself out there, I think is really important. So thank you, Christy.
I'll ask a question. Do you use any software to automate your social media posts?
I do not. Now, one of the things that I started doing was one of my legal assistants, and this is just recently, I gave her a budget and I said, this is our social media budget. So outside of work, and it's a small budget, but outside of work, you would be in charge of doing our social media thing. So now I think that she's now in charge of doing all the posting and so on. So I think you can, I know, Christy, I believe you use the software to do that. But you can also get a high school intern and sort of sit with them and write out a calendar of things you want to post. So big events coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, so on. These are posts that we want to schedule. And high school interns love to do that stuff. So you can use an intern, but I don't use any.
Yeah, the thing that I use is, you can use it for Instagram or Facebook. I'm not the best at this, but it's called Planoly, Planoly. And basically you can put together your posts, you add them to a calendar on Planoly app, and it will automatically post it on the day and times that you set up.
Any other questions, guys? Thank you all for having me and listening. And doing CLEs, reach out to your colleagues and say, hey, if you want to learn. Actually, Christy and I presented on a CLE before, but, again, doing these little speaking engagement, I think is important. So I think I did a one with the Legal Aid Society View from the Bench, and was all these judges, but there's no immigration judge in the area. So I was their immigration speaker. So, opportunities will arise all over the place. I just think you need to put stuff out there. So.
All right. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And a very special thank you to Indira Demine for the excellent presentation. We will send you the CLE certificate if you've provided us with your email address. Again, if you're calling in today, please make sure you type in your email address in the chat box. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me your inquiry at sbala, S-B-A-L-A, at florida-law.com. That wraps up our presentation today. Stay healthy, everyone. Happy holidays, and we hope to see you next year.
Hi, guys.